Hello, welcome to a special episode of the Library Podcast series Talking Around the Library Tree. I'm Anna, and today I'm joined with Patrick, and we will discuss. Hi, Patrick. So today we will discuss about the theme of students as partners, and more specifically, material co-creation. But before we go to the deep discussion, Sandra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I work in the engineering department currently. I have the very fancy job title experimental officer. Basically, I run a radio analytics lab. I'm also doing my PhD in engineering, coming to the end of that now, but I've been doing MASH since, I think, 2022?
Yeah, you
Quite a while now. So I've done that throughout my PhD years and also while working, so it's been a very good way to kind of like round out my sort of professional university experience.
Great. Actually, yeah, it's impressive because, as you said, I met you while you were still doing your PhD. In the meantime, you progressed in your career. You're doing all these nice things on top of, of course, working with the MOSH team. So, actually, this gives me the opportunity to ask you when we have PhD students that, they are interested in doing the tutoring role, but they are concerned, how they can do it on top of their PhD commitments. Do you have any advice for them? What do you think you have got out of this and why maybe it's worth trying it?
Yeah, so I think first of all, it's no more of a commitment than the tutors want it to be. So once you're on the system and you've kind of met the team, you know what kind of group you're working within and what sort of opportunities there are to tutor, you can more or less choose what you want to do as and when you want to do it, even if that's not say you sign up to tutor the one-to-one sessions, that doesn't oblige you to doing all of them. So if you communicate to the kind of individual group managers, hey, I can do these 4 weeks, but not the rest of term, that's great. They can work with that. So if you just want to do it as a little temporary thing, see if you like teaching, it's a great opportunity to do that. And also if you want to ramp it up, once you've said, I can only do however much, that doesn't mean you only have to ever do that much. So, for example, for me, there have been times when I've had more free time because, lab access comes and goes. And when I've had a lot more free time, I've been able to take on more MASH hours, which is great for me because I get paid more. And great for MASH because they like, having more tutors. So I don't think it takes away from anything at all. And also, it's a very kind of safe and convenient way to get a snapshot of what teaching at a university level is like without the actual responsibility of it. So, for example, say you're running a workshop, you're delivering content that you might have been involved in putting together the workshop material, but the actual obligation to kind of lecture isn't yours. There are still the department staff who do that for each student. You're just there as a supporting role, but it's close enough to see how everything works and kind of get some experience that is good if you want to go into teaching later. And even if not, it's interesting.
So develop skills and the flexibility, as you said. Yeah, we do offer that at MASH.
Also, as a particular note for anyone who does want to work at Lancaster, I was very pleased to find out that it counts as continuous service. So when I started my full-time job at the university, my employment apparently started from when I started doing MASH. So it's a good way to kind of get in the system a bit earlier.
Great. So now if we go to the specific discussion of co-creation, just for some context, actually, as you said, you have been in the team for a long time and you have worked with students from different departments, different levels of study, supporting in one-to-ones, workshops, and so on. So this is actually, the depth, the rich experience, I guess, that I wanted to utilize.
Thank you.
And we started a few years ago with another tutor. Again, this year, you joined your forces with your co-tutor to review the brush up your stats, skills, workshop material. So how this experience of co-creation has been for you?
Yeah, so it kind of started out as like I said, I was kind of the boots on the ground, so to speak, and it was giving the feedback of having delivered the material that already existed, how did I feel like it could be improved, or having delivered it a few times, sort of thinking, how could we restructure things to make it sort of flow better and make more sense? And then, yeah, that grew into kind of when we started actually looking at the content itself and thinking, what are the content we can change? It's all about building on that experience of what kind of students are we seeing, what do their needs tend to be, also what is my experience of maths, because working with other tutors from other backgrounds, I consider myself to be quite a practical mathematician. The theory is often witchcraft to me, but I enjoy the process of viewing maths as a tool. And students seem to often resonate with that. So a lot of it was kind of finding ways of breaking down concepts that can seem quite esoteric at first into ways using sort of practical examples to explain things that kind of make sense. So yeah, a lot of the sort of motivation for the changes we made and things we decided to add or take out or restructure were definitely fed in from the experience of delivering it and getting feedback from students, and also just my own sort of feelings while delivering it. You can kind of get a sense of what works and what doesn't, even if you don't get active feedback, the passive feedback of, how happy does everyone seem to be in the session? Are they asking questions? Are they, straight up managing to do the questions well? If those things aren't true, it probably means I'm not doing my job right. And part of that job is going, well, if I think there's something wrong with the material in a sort of structural sense, then how do we change that?
Now I can say, student feedback, my own observation, having worked also with you closely, I know for sure that, we all benefit from your expertise and your approach to maths and stats. What I would like to know, and I hope there is a lot there, is have you learned anything about this experience or any skills you developed?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, like I've mentioned before, just straight up, the skill of teaching is one that you can't learn from a book, I don't think. You can do courses that teach you kind of like education principles, but the actual practicalities of what am I good at versus another tutor, and, how can I deliver things in a way that's engaging? I always try and lean on humor as much as I can, just because it's a simple way to make people have more fun, and also people tend to pay attention to things that make them feel good. So if I can kind of make the whole process feel as amusing as possible, kind of taking it seriously, but with some sort of witticisms of kind of playing off how the students are reacting to things. Like if you have a group that really wants to get into the nitty-gritty maths theory, then you can kind of be a bit drier about it because they're already engaged with that. But often you have students who are committed to doing well. They're there and they want to learn, but the reason they want to learn is to achieve something else. So for those students, kind of playing with the process a bit is something that I wouldn't have thought of doing until I was in the room.
Yeah. And learn being agile, right? And adapt.
Yeah, so definitely. It's kind of like, because one of the most common things we can hear as a negative when it comes to teaching maths is students just being like, I don't actually care about maths and I don't enjoy it. I just need to pass whatever module. I need maths for my degree. That's the only reason I'm here. And rather than finding that disheartening, it's kind of, I almost take the opportunity to go like, yeah, well, I don't really like maths either. Like, I don't go home and spend 3 hours in my evening solving maths puzzles, but what I do enjoy is being good at my job. And unfortunately, from some points of view, that does require maths. And that kind of relatability, I think, is something that I wouldn't have intuitively thought to do from, like, teaching courses I've done. So I think, a skill I've picked up from that is the ability to, I guess, be relatable in teaching. So it's not only understanding what are the students on paper kind of academic learning objectives, it's also understanding how they approach it in the first place. And by being able to mold your delivery to what they're most receptive for, you will do a better job as a tutor. And I think that is something that I've only been able to develop through practice. I mean, no amount of sitting and reading literature on, pedagogy would have taught me how to do that. And as well, like in more sort of practical sense, just delivering something gives me more experience doing it. It's like I can't remember where this quote is attributed to. It's probably one of those folk wisdom things, but the idea that the best way to understand something is to teach it. And I absolutely think that's true. So like my undergraduate degree, I did physics a long time ago. Graduated in
A lot of maths
2019.
there.
So there was a lot of maths in it, but then I went through a long period of time where I didn't use it for very much. So kind of going back to sort of principles, and like I now, understand calculus, for example, way better than I did in that time window between 2019 and 2022 when I'd finished my degree. I wasn't studying maths anymore and I wasn't teaching it yet. So it's kind of, for me, a very good way to make sure that I'm not losing skills that I have developed, especially for things that I use in my day-to-day life. And that kind of, there's a bit of a feedback loop there, because for MASH, I have often been asked to specifically focus on things that I do anyway. So, for example, I did a lot of statistics support during a phase of my PhD when I was doing a lot of stats. So the fact that I was practicing it myself meant that I was suitable for doing the tutoring, and the fact that I was tutoring it made me more confident with it.
So you were brushing up your stat skills.
I absolutely was. The name is fulfilled. And also just because for me myself, but I'm sure this will apply to other people, I do have intentions or a desire to get into academic teaching one day. And first of all, the more experience I can get, the better, but also the more I can keep that experience current and be working with, for example, one of the options that's available for tutoring is the engineering maths. And we get a lot of engineers coming to our sessions for help. So kind of keeping my finger on the pulse in terms of what the department is teaching or what other departments are teaching, it kind of gives, the experience keeps that current, but also it's a much broader overview than you'd get if you were just teaching in the department, because we have students from all over coming. So we have a lot of different backgrounds with a lot of different applications. So it kind of gives me the challenge of teaching things in enough depth that it's actually educational, but also with enough breadth that it's relevant to everyone. So that's one of the reasons I especially enjoy the group workshops one through the Central MASH, is because it has that challenge which you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah. Lovely. Oh, thank you very much. And I hope if there are PhD students listening to this podcast, they might get, inspiration.
It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, from you to join the team or, do tutoring in their departments. And if there are students as well, they know what a lovely, approachable tutor you are and
Well, thank you very much.
benefit from your activities. Thank you very much, Patrick. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you, Anna.